Hi, and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
We are coming at you from Yosemite National Park, and we actually were staying just south of the entrance, literally less than 2 miles. And one of the things we want to talk about in this video is we want to talk about things that there are to do that are not just in the valley.
One of the things is to hike to the Mariposa Grove of sequoias.
Now, this is just inside that south entrance, and we had spent a full day at Sequoia National Park, so my thought was, this is going to be a lovely walk in the woods. If I make it all the way to the grove, that's great, and if I don't, I will have had a lovely walk in the woods. And we were here April 28th, I believe, was the day that I took this hike. And the shuttles were not working. And one of the things that they said in the information there at the beginning was several years ago, they had very strong winds and it knocked a number of trees across the path. Now, a number of them you can walk around. But I will tell you, I thought of the others as the Mary Lou Retton, and I don't know if y'all will remember this or not, but she advertised a thing called the sit and spin. Well, as you get a little bit further up the, and I do mean up the path, there are a number of these logs where you have to sit on them and spin to get across. This is one example. And we do want to say on the path, you do get up above the trees, the pines, because you're gaining elevation all the way and then you start back down a little bit. But there are pictures that show
no bikes,
no pets. And I did see 2 cyclists and 1 German Shepherd. Those cyclists had to lift their bikes over an awful lot of these logs.
And they really couldn't ride, I wouldn't think, any distance.
Well, it was, they were riding people when I saw them. Yeah, there were a lot of people, and this is supposed to be a hiking path. That's what it's for. But it's a gorgeous hike, and I did not hesitate to do this one by myself because I knew it wouldn't be more than a minute or two before someone else was coming either up or down the path. And so, like I said, it was...
And it was a Friday, so people who took off work for the weekend.
And I made it up to the sign that told me I was still 1/8 of the mile away, and I'd come a mile, 0.1. So I knew Marlena was waiting for me. I'd had a beautiful walk. But then we came back to this...
Yosemite, the Pioneer Yosemite History Center, and that was, to me, fascinating.
Yes, there's a little community, Wawoma, I believe is the name of it. It is 4 miles north of the southern entrance, and it is fascinating.
Yes.
A ton of history here.
This first part, that's a horse trough, but it just shows outside stuff, and then we get to the covered bridge.
Yeah, that's on the pedestrian side, or the road side of the covered bridge. And we thought the covered bridge was kind of it. But the covered bridge is, in and of itself, a historic landmark, I believe. I mean, it is just amazing. To be able, there's one side they had where pedestrians walked, and the other was for the horses to come across with the carriages.
When you get through it, there are a lot of buildings to see, and this little stream is gorgeous.
And yeah, that just gives you a better perspective of how large that bridge is. But I think every cabin there had some sort of information explaining what the cabin was used for. And if you do a ranger guided tour, they actually open up some of these buildings and allow you inside. We were just on the outside looking in, and it was fascinating.
Yes.
This, I think, is a beehive because in the spring there are lots of bees available. This, of course, is sort of, No community's complete without one. But then the tree next to that, just to show you the size of these things. But all of these little placards give you information.
Yes.
And I just thought those steps, that was kind of it's amazing.
Yes.
And more of an overview looking back toward the bridge. But this little community that they have there, just a glimpse back in time.
This is the inside of, I believe, of the first Rangers' quarters.
There were a couple where they had those wooden slats. Now, we don't really encourage people to
deface.
But these were kind of interesting. I mean, over 100 years old that those were carved over 100 years ago. And just taking pictures through the windows of the period materials that are inside. But this was just truly fascinating. And the types of things that would have been there when, like, John Muir first saw the valley. And it was a really interesting place to spend quite a bit of time.
We spent more than an hour.
Yeah,
yes.
Just walking around and looking at all of these buildings. And it's just, you go at your own pace.
Yes.
There is a sign, there's a little gas station there at the entrance to this, but the sign for the history, the Pioneer Museum is marked, and it is well worth your time to come out and spend some time looking at the things that were there before the national park became such a massive tourist destination.
And this was a stagecoach stop. Now, the jail I thought was truly interesting, and if you were a tall person, you didn't want to get thrown in there.
It was
low ceiling.
I could stand, I'm 5'5", and I could stand up, but this also served as the morgue, I believe you said. But anyway, this is a place that I'm sure a lot of people never make it to.
Yes, or don't stop because it's not the valley.
And that's kind of one of the things we wanted to talk about is taking, if you have time. That's, that's kind of the, we've talked to a number of people that they're on time constraints.
Yes.
On that path, there were people talking about, well, we only got so far because we have places we have to be afterwards. But if you can take the time, this was just an awesome way to spend the morning. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. But kind of along with what we're talking about here is Yosemite, much of it is just wilderness.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And yet
the
concentration of people are in the valley. The drive to the valley is a scenic drive.
Yes.
And we spent a lot of time in pull-offs because there were a lot of people that were racing to get to the valley, which I understand, that it is where there's a lot of stuff to do, but the drive is gorgeous.
And the speed limit most of the time was between 25 and 35.
Yeah, 35 was the maximum, but we've made the drive a number of times because we were staying just outside, and yet I'm not tired of the drive.
No.
Okay, and we will mention in this video, we are making 3 videos about Yosemite. This is Beyond the Valley. We're making one about lodging options, and we are making one about biking around the valley. But we do want to talk about the tunnel for a second here, just to let you know that if you're towing a fifth wheel, you're going to need to, or a very high clearance RV, you're going to need to check. But the South Tunnel, the height at the edge is 10.2. And so ours in the middle is 9.5. So we weren't concerned about that. But if you are just staying in the valley, you do want to get out of the valley and come up to the tunnel view overlook, and you really want to try and get there various times of the day,
Yes.
because this is what it looked like of a morning.
Yes.
And then when we left the valley,
It's
just gorgeous.
totally different, though.
And so anyway, we hope you have enjoyed our look at Yosemite Beyond the Valley. Thanks for watching Two Tired Teachers.